Okay. Starting with, federal legislators should pay attention to negative impact policies can have on federalism. Davis 14. Federal legislators should pay attention to the impact of their decisions on other levels of the federal system. Urge national policymakers to think twice before depriving the states. Such conditions become unreasonably demanding. Policymakers should do their best to stay at the heart of a healthy system of federalism. Now, unlike the affirmative argues that federalism is at a healthy place, it's simply not, and the cards provide you evidence and valid reasons. Now, moving on to federal government oversteps and limits state political power. Taylor 13. Old saying goes, all politics are local, yet in our federal system there's supposed to be a balance. Federal government power is not unlimited. State governments play a critical role. State politics are extraordinarily important. States are charged with protecting the welfare, safety, and health of their citizens. 20 states filed suit. That just refers back to the point that I made in my 1C. Federalism, they're violating the law of federalism. They're violating the states' rights. Now, moving on to empirically federalism fosters peacemaking and promises to solve future conflicts. Again, expanding the impacts that the negative has stated in this round. Elder 14. Federalism has demonstrated utility in peacetime making. In its movement toward federalism as a new paradigm for interstate and intergroup relations, we must expect it also to offer considerably promise for peacemaking. The European Union, post-Franco Spain, post-apartheid examples, and South Africa, Belgium, the UK, India, and Australia, and Canada. Also, ongoing efforts include advanced ones such as Russia, Cyprus, and the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Everyone understands federalism has become an aid to peacetime making, and since the affirmative violates this law, we can't pass the affirmative plan. Federalism prevents future conflicts, as the court states, and global war in general, that they have simply not addressed the impact of. And then, yes, with that said, I can really see a negative on it.
Did you say federalism was bad now?
No, I feel like I did, but I didn't mean to, obviously.
Okay,
Do
then
not
I
go
won't
there.
run that argument.
Okay.
I will be nice, for once.
Thank you.
Okay, 90 seconds, which is 1:30. Okay, is anybody not ready? Nope. Okay, starting now. I'd like to start off with the point I made at the very beginning of my speech, the Biden infrastructure bill. The Biden infrastructure bill, if we go by the negative definition and standards, is an attack on federalism at the state level, because it's the federal government saying the states need to do stuff. I don't know the exact details, but essentially, we would have already seen the impacts by now. In the negative world, we're in an all-out war with all these other countries because federalism is no longer modeled, and it broke out into interstate and intercity war. But this is not because of the affirmative plan. This is right now in the scope because Biden's infrastructure bill has passed, and we would have seen the impacts of their cards because they're all from before when the bill was passed. So we would have seen the impacts by now. And I'd also like to go into the other parts. First of all, they didn't respond to our turn that the PFAS federal standard actually helped. And then also the fact that states are advocating for the federal government to create, for the EPA to create a nationwide standard. These states themselves want the national government to create a nationwide standard. So, because the states want the national government to create a national-wide standard, and the affirmative plan boosts federalism currently, and because we would have seen the impacts of the DA because of Biden's infrastructure bill by now, I can only see an affirmative ballot. Thank you. That was not enough time.
That was just enough time.
No, it wasn't.
You had like 1 second left.
Yeah, I needed more.
No, you didn't.
If I had 30 more
No,
seconds,
you
I would have
didn't.
just kept going.
Okay.
Wrong way.
Okay, so I really want to go that route.
I'd like to remind you, I've been nice to you in this debate.
I know. I don't think it's anything bad.
But you're questioning it. Why?
It's not bad. I mean, and it would not be a new argument because this card right here talks about it.
Okay, Ravnar, you do whatever you want.
How much time do I have?
If 90 seconds.
No. Okay. 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'm gonna. This is a really. This is not a good move. Don't even know if I'm running.
Do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Judge, I would first like to begin with addressing Biden infrastructure bill. They have simply not provided any evidence or any sort of valid argument for it, or there is no evidence. They've been just making things up. How the heck am I supposed to know if what they're saying is correct? There is absolutely no way of knowing it. They have provided zero evidence. And then, so please just disregard that argument. And moving on to impacts. They said that we should have seen these impacts now, but like federalism has been like the impact card, like Code Verse 95 says, impact. American federalism is model. It solves international civil wars, and like that, as well as the Alter 14 card that I talked about, clearly states how it has been a thing in solving for future conflicts, and it will be a thing, but by passing the affirmative plan, we're taking away this whole idea of federalism. And it prevents future conflicts that they have not addressed. The only thing they've stated against it is, well, we should have seen the impacts now. We should have already seen the impacts. But like Alvarez 95 says, it gives you a bunch of examples, and so does Alvarez 14. So if they need evidence, I have the evidence. Therefore, that should flow to the negative team. But all they've provided is analytics and absolutely no evidence in their 2A or the 1AR. That should flow to the negative team. Thank you very much.
Alrighty then.
See, I didn't go that route.
Do I go all in on Biden bill not real or not responded till late turn? I don't know. What do I want to do here? I'm kind of disappointed you didn't go for that because I had a really fun speech made.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have gone, but I only had 3 seconds left.
Judge, let's look at the negatives world. In the negatives world, we are seeing countries devolving into Nazism, Stalinism, war and genocide, and totalitarianism, as said in their impact card. Because of the Biden $1 billion infrastructure bill, the biggest story of the past week, it is 100% real. I don't even need to provide evidence for it, because everyone should know what this is. It's been huge. It was the entire basis of his presidency. Because of this, we would have seen the impacts of this stuff by now. We would see countries devolving into these things. Nazism, Stalinism. There'd be war and genocide rampant across the entire world. But we clearly haven't seen that. So there's no actual impact to our plan. Then also, I'd like to say they did not respond at all to our states advocate for federal leadership and federal standard. This PFAS federal standard boosts healthy federalism card. So like because they didn't respond to either of those points, that one, the states want a federal standard, and two, the federal standard boosts federalism, I can only see an affirmative ballot because our plan clearly doesn't violate federalism. As a matter of fact, it improves it. Thank you.